Along to Matchday Live Extra, rounding up a dramatic final day of the Premier League season in the company of Michael Owen, Ryan Giggs and Tim Sherwood. 10 games then, all kicking off at the same time, many with huge connotations at the top and the bottom. Watford gave it everything, but ultimately lost 3-2 in the end at FA Cup finalist Arsenal. A winning end for Brighton away from home, 2-1 they won at Burnley. Chelsea needed a point, they got all three against Wolves by 2-0. A point was enough in the end for Spurs for a top 6 finish in Europa League football next season away at Crystal Palace. Bournemouth did their job, 3-1 win at Everton, but it wasn't enough, as we'll tell you in a moment. Manchester United did theirs into the Champions League with a 2-0 win away at Leicester. A 5-star show to end against the bottom club Norwich. Liverpool went behind, but still recorded their 32nd league win of their title-winning campaign. 3-1 away at Newcastle. Another 3 goals and 3 points for Southampton to beat Sheffield United 3-1 at St Mary's. And a huge result, a massive point for Aston Villa at West Ham to maintain their Premier League status. We knew Norwich were down, and unfortunately, that letter R goes next to Watford and Bournemouth, who came into the Premier League together 5 years ago. They departed together. It is Aston Villa, courtesy of 1 point, that survive and will be playing Premier League football again next season. That defeat for Everton means that they finish in the bottom half of the table. We knew the top two, but it was about third and fourth today, and Manchester United and Chelsea on 66 points take those berths. They will be in the Champions League. They will be in the Champions League next season. Leicester and Spurs will be in the Europa League. Wolves finish 7th. If Chelsea win the FA Cup, they will definitely be in the Europa League next season. They are still in the Europa League this season, of course. Should they go on and win it, they would be playing Champions League football. Arsenal in the FA Cup final. They have to win that now to get into the Europa League. They finish 8th, and there is, we should point out, a top half finish for all the heroics for newly promoted Sheffield United. They finished 9th on 54 points. For those 2 huge games in terms of the Champions League, you thought it would be Chelsea and Manchester United, and so it proved.
Yeah, I think it went with form. Leicester have been dropping gradually throughout the season. They had a lot of injuries, suspensions as well today. And Manchester United, of course, have been totally... They're the next team, let's say, to go and challenge the Liverpools and Manchester Cities of this world. You're looking at it for a long time now, and they've been miles clear of anyone. But on form in the last, 20-odd games, and United are right up there. And I think another telltale time was when they won it there. Of course, yes, there was celebrating. Yes, there was handshakes and all the rest of it. But there was no crazy celebrations. There was a steely sort of determination look from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as if this is the bare minimum. Hang on a minute, we're Manchester United. Top 4 is bare minimum for us. So they're not going to rest on their laurels now. They're playing particularly well, but as the lads say, they still need to add a little bit more before they can go and challenge for the top honours.
Frank Lampard will be celebrating that fact as well tonight. He needed a point today. He got all 3 with both goals in the first half, Tim.
Yeah, from the academy, all built there. Mason Mount, he's been outstanding, hasn't he, this year? He's emerged onto the scene and he's taken it like a duck to water. He's been outstanding. And Olivier Giroud, just a big mention for him. Someone who, Tammy Abraham started the season so well, scoring lots of goals. Everyone thought that Frank was just looking to the academy. But in fact, he kept himself right. He dried up a little bit, Tammy. He picked up some injuries and they could not score a goal. So they had to look to someone who had been pushed to one side.
Nearly left in January, Tim. He nearly left in January.
Yeah, but his professionalism has to be noted. Correct attitude in training, get yourself back in the side, not cry to his agent, just roll his sleeves up and prove to the manager, the man in the picture there, Frank Lampard, that I'm actually still around and I'm a World Cup winner and I'm your best option. And he's proved that, Olivier Giroud. So the kids are good. Bring him into your squad, but you can only be as good as your experienced players. And I think players like him, Azpilicueta, have helped him out massively.
Well, of course, it was a big decision for Chelsea to appoint their former record goal scorer Frank Lampard, who'd had 1 season at Derby. He's reached the top 4. Let's see if he feels vindicated.
It's a nice thing in football to prove people wrong, and I understand the doubters because people will look at it and go, you got the job for a big part because you played at this club for a long time. 1 year at Derby doesn't normally, on your CV, doesn't normally get you the Chelsea job. But at the same time, the work that I put in here for 13 years as a player and how I feel about the club, and maybe the stars aligned for me in a way. And I had to take it on the chin and understand that if I ever want a chance to be Chelsea manager, which is always a dream of mine once I took this role, this type of role, I might not get another chance at it. And the difficulties were there to take. I wasn't scared of the idea of failing because I trusted that I've had a good career as a player. That's done. That's finished. If it doesn't work for me here, now, in the future, whenever, it wouldn't be for the want of trying. And so I had to take it. Simple as that.
You talk about, I mean, you mentioned next year about bridging the gap, and you've got Ziyech coming in, Werner, Havertz has had a mention as well, and some other really big names. Is Chelsea, do you feel, going to have a real go as well next year?
Well, I hope so. And the two that you've said we've signed, we will look maybe in other areas to improve if we can. I know a lot of people have talked about our defensive frailties, and I'll take that on board as well. We need to get better at that. So whether it's in terms of recruitment, but whether it's looking at ourselves, how can we get better? Because clearly conceding as many goals and getting in the top four is great, but there's something we need to improve on. But it's a conversation we can now have. And by the way, we've got a big game next week, so I don't want to jump too forward to that. But if we can improve as Chelsea Football Club, we have missed a couple of windows now. If we can improve them, we'll look at it.
Timo Werner, incidentally, in the stands today for the first time at Stamford Bridge. They have the FA Cup final to come, of course, against Arsenal. Very interesting initial thoughts there from Frank Lampard, Ryan, in terms of his name getting the job, and he's only had a year. There were doubters. He feels though he's proved a few wrong there. Yeah,
and I watched a lot of his games last year at Derby. His team played exciting football, obviously just missed out on going up. But he's taken that same exciting philosophy, try and score more goals than the opposition. And like I said earlier, they're one of the best teams to watch, Chelsea, because you know you're going to get goals, you know you're going to get players who want to take players on. But if they probably are going to challenge for the Premier League, they do need to get better defensively and less goals, because every team that wins the Premier League has a decent defence. You know, you can't go throughout a season thinking you can score more goals than the other bit. What a first season at Chelsea. And, of course, he's got next week to look forward to. Top four, FA Cup, if they do it. Brilliant, brilliant season by Frank Lampard.
Yeah, I think, to be specific, I think he'll look at a goalkeeper, and I think he'll look at a left-back as well. I think they're two positions that Frank's not too happy about at the moment. But they've got some players. They've got some really exciting players. Pulisic, who Giggsy mentioned earlier, he's just come into form in recent weeks, and it does take certain players a lot of time. So there's a lot to be excited about. Of course, the two signings already are very exciting. So watch this space over the summer, but it's exciting times for Chelsea fans.
And you know how difficult that is, to go into a first job in the Premier League at a big club, and one he's so famous at, the way he's taken... And you know how difficult that is, to go into a first job in the Premier League at a big club, and one he's so famous at, the way he's taken it on, that he was talking about for you?
He knows the game, he knows the football club. You know, and you hear a lot of people from the outside say he hasn't earned the right. What gives him the opportunity and someone else doesn't get that opportunity? Because he played there, because he's a legend at the club. The fans will give him the time. He knows he's got Jody Morris with him. He's got Joe Edwards working underneath him. They come from the academy. That was the philosophy, to have a look at the academy and see what they could bring up. And guess what? They got some superstars down there. But they wouldn't have got the chance unless it was for Frank Lampard. So let's not forget that. He's earned the right, but it's still without the objectives. The objectives from the owner would have been, Frank, we know you've been a legend here. We know you're going to bring the kids through, but you have to finish in the Champions League, mate, and you have to get us in the Champions League this season. That would have been the objectives, and he's ticked the box. On to the next. Now they're letting him sign players as well. I think he's some of the best managers we've ever seen in this game in recent history. Pep Guardiola, Zinedine Zidane. Yeah, they were promoted. People say, well, they didn't deserve their chance. Look at them now. Look what they're doing now. Look how many trophies they're winning. Why shouldn't he get the opportunity? I'm all for him.